Hi everyone. Hi, the warrior parents, our parents who are walking the same journey as me. What I mean is the autism spectrum um disorder, where the major challenge when it comes to autism is basically defined by a neurodevelopmental condition which affects the speech, the communication, yeah. And so that's like the first, when we understand autism, the first thing we understand is that they would have a problem when it comes to speech or language, right? Okay, so today's topic is the speech development, how I saw speech getting developed in Ranak, right? Um, I am not a speech therapist, but yes, I worked very closely with Ranak to make sure that speech emerges. Okay, so आज का मेरा टॉपिक है स्पीच, मतलब बोल चाल कर पाना और हमारे साथ किसी भी तरह से इशारों से या किसी भी तरह से कम्युनिकेट कर पाना हमारे बच्चों के लिए, राइट? हमारी अटेंशन सीख करना भी एक कम्युनिकेशन है, राइट? तो समझ लेते हैं कि स्पीच में 3 पार्ट्स होते हैं, राइट? एक होता है कि हम बोल पाए, राइट? दैट इज स्पीच. एक होता है कि हमें शब्दों का मतलब समझ में आए, ठीक है, उसको लैंग्वेज बोलते हैं. सो वंस वी स्टार्ट अंडरस्टैंडिंग the words that are spoken, it's language. It can be English, it can be Hindi, it can be any language. So that is the language. So let's not confuse the ability to produce words with language. Okay, so language is different than speech. Speech is the ability to produce sound and make a word which has a meaning, right? That would be speech. But what is language? Language can be, my mother tongue is Hindi or Punjabi or Bengali or these kind of things. So so that is what is language, right? And there is another component, which is when we are communicating with each other, it's communication. Like when a small baby is born and the baby cries, most probably the baby is hungry or the baby needs a change of nappy. So we come to know. So is the baby able to understand the language, or is the child producing sound and telling us? We as mother, we come to know that the child is communicating some discomfort or some want or some need that the child needs, right? So that becomes the communication. So those are the differences. I hope it was a little clear that speech, language and communication are 3 different aspects with a very fine line between them, right? So when our children are diagnosed with the autism spectrum disorder, the first thing that gets delayed, it's a delay. Okay, so let's also understand it's a delay in producing of speech, in understanding of the language. But this delay does not mean that we will not be achieving the speech or the communication, or the communication has to be there. Everybody communicates, okay? And all the children from the day one, they start communicating by crying. But we need speech, we need language, ठीक है? So अब इसके सब steps होते हैं. Let's understand कि क्या steps होते हैं. कि जैसे ही मेरा बच्चा diagnose हुआ, should I just rush to the speech therapist? क्योंकि speech की वजह से ही तो हमें समझ में आया कि बच्चा अभी तक बोल नहीं रहा है, तो हम उसकी वजह से ही डॉक्टर के पास गए और हमें डायग्नोसिस मिल गया ऑटिज्म का. तो क्या ये बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है कि फर्स्ट थिंग वी शुड गो टू द स्पीच थेरेपिस्ट, और वी नीड टू नो, और देयर आर प्री रिक्विजिट्स फॉर स्पीच डेवलपमेंट, ठीक है? अब स्पीच के लिए क्या चाहिए? वर्ड्स चाहिए, ठीक है। वर्ड्स कहाँ से सीख रहे हैं बच्चे? हमसे सीख रहे हैं, ठीक है। और अगर वो हमारी तरफ देख ही नहीं रहे हैं, राइट, और या जैसे अगर हम उनको फिजिकली भी प्रॉम्प्ट करते हैं या बोलते हैं बेटा से बाय बाय, shake hand, all that things we tell, and they follow instruction. Once they follow instruction means they are understanding the language, isn't it? But are our children doing this? Are they following instructions? They are generally, when they are diagnosed to, again, the degree varies. Um, for me, Ranak was not understanding what is bye-bye, what is body parts, nothing. He was not understanding anything. And hence, we came to know pretty early on that, we are having some problem with our child, right? So what is the prerequisite for communication, or what is the prerequisite of speech development? ठीक है, अब रनक को अगर आप कुछ भी करने को बोलेंगे तो वो नहीं, he cannot follow through. He's not able to understand the language that we are using, right? B, he does not have imitation skills. ठीक है, अगर हम बिना बोले भी कुछ बोल रहे हैं, ऐसे भी कर रहे हैं, he will not be able to imitate me, right? तो स्पीच भी क्या होती है? How do we learn to speak? By imitating the words, imitating the lip movement, everything we are imitating, right? So uska prerequisite for the speech is language understanding. ठीक है, language understanding is something called receptive language. ठीक है, receptive language मतलब जैसे मेरे बच्चे को मैंने बोला बेटा यहाँ पे आना, come here, and the child comes to me, right? So he understood the meaning of come here. Okay, that becomes the receptive language, though the child is non-verbal, but when I'm talking, he is following through the instruction. He or she is following through the instruction. That is what is called receptive language. Expressive language would be the actual understanding of the words and the meaning and speaking meaningfully, right? That would be the expressive language. अब इसके लिए हमारे बच्चों को क्या क्या चाहिए? हमारे बच्चे को चाहिए फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल लैंग्वेज अंडरस्टैंडिंग, सेकेंड इमिटेटिव स्किल्स. इमिटेशन, हम लिप्स की इमिटेशन कैसे सिखाएं? बच्चे तो हमारी तरफ देखते ही नहीं है. वी कैन स्टार्ट विथ फिजिकल इमिटेशन, विच कैन बी do bye bye, okay, and is he able to pick up his hand and do what I'm doing, my action? Just imitate. The child should be able to learn first the physical imitation. ठीक है, फिजिकल इमिटेशन आ रही है तो वो लिप पे भी और फेस पे भी वो इमिटेशन आएगी, right? So we work on that. Then another thing is we start making the child understand the meaning of every word. We start with labeling things. We start with nouns, things, animals, places, right? Everything we start with labeling. हर चीज को लेबल करेंगे. That's how we develop the language. और language develop करने के लिए भी even what we are doing, we can also give them gestures. So there is a non-verbal communication in a way that you're not using words, but you are using non-verbal cues like an eye contact, like pointing, or the child holding your hand and taking you to a place, or putting your hand on the thing which they want. Yeah, that's what Ranak used to do. That's a non-verbal communication. So we need to encourage our children to do that as well, right? That's also a prerequisite, because that non-verbal communication is also part of development of speech, right? So for our children, eye contact goes missing, pointing goes missing. So whatever went missing, we will do a full prompt and start teaching them. If they are holding my hand and putting it on a toy because he or she wants it, I correct it, right? I start correcting the action of making a pointer finger and then pointing there. And then you can label it. And what is the rule? 1 word, 3 times. 1 word, 3 times. How you do? That is the rule. That's the method. Supposing there's a toy. So before you corrected it, the child started pointing also, and now you want to label the toy, or it's a teddy bear. Supposing it's a teddy bear. So you say teddy bear, teddy bear, teddy bear. Hey, you get the teddy bear, right? So you repeat the same word, one word, 3 times. If the child is seeking water, you say water, water. You try to look into the eyes, water, and give the water to the child, right? Or if you are just doing a bubble, supposing we are playing with a child, because connection is so very important for teaching every skill the child requires for the development of speech, for the because of connection only we are trying to seek attention, we are trying to communicate with each other, right? It's a connection. We go and speak with our friends so much because there is a connection, right? So let the child feel that you are a fun person, do things which they love, right? And that is the opportunity of teaching them one word at a time by repeating it 3 times. Okay, so that's how we go about it. Imitation, physical imitation. Okay, if the child is not able to imitate, full prompt. Full prompt, start fading the prompt. The child is able to do physical physical imitation. The child is learning language, right? The nouns. Okay? Then we create a word bank in his or her mind by teaching as many vocabulary. Then comes the vocabulary. You start teaching them words, everything: cup, pencil, marker, eraser, duster. Okay, because this is what we are using for them. Table, chair, and everything that we do. Then if you're doing bubbles, 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 and you blow bubble, right? And then you can also add pop the bubble, right? Pop. Just say pop and pop it. So the action, you are also teaching action words, you are teaching nouns, and that's how the words and the sentences will be formed, right? And then once the imitation increases, then it's always nice to model and play in front of the mirror and speak the word. If the child is not looking at your face and your lip movement, you can actually show it doing it in the mirror, because kids generally try to not be able to see us in in our eyes or look at our face because there is a lot of sensory overload. So they will see there in the thing. So first the child will be just blabbering, ba 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 ba, with no meaning. Then if the child starts producing certain sounds and he or she is doing at her or his own own free will, right? So maybe the child is playing with oral motor, like they do a lot of sounds, ah, ooh, and they'll do like this. They do all this is encourage these kind of activities. Even try to model it, because all this is going to help production of the speech. Okay. Then doing mirroring is another way of bringing in the lip movement there. And when you are doing in the mirror, then you can start with even sounds, only sounds, air, so that only that air sound, the child is able to see the lip movement. Once we are doing a lot of work when it comes to the imitation, the physical imitation, and the child is seeing the lip movement also, right? Another thing that affects the speech can be that the child is having issue with the oral motor. Okay, so when we are looking at speech, so you already understood, there has to be imitation, there has to be language comprehension to understand each and every word. ठीक है, language आनी चाहिए, receptive language बढ़नी चाहिए, फिर imitative skill होने चाहिए, फिर वो देख के हमारे को अपने lips को देख के वो imitate कर पाए. कभी कभी हमारे बच्चों में जैसे होता ना, feeding issues भी होते हैं, right? The child is not able to chew the food, and all these oral motor, and the child is not able to spit. If they're brushing, they don't know how to spit, and they don't know how to blow. They don't know how to suck from the straw, right? Again, what comes in this is like a work of an occupational therapist, or we as parents can do it. जितना मुंह यूज करना सिखाएंगे, this part, उसकी feeding proper होनी चाहिए. He should be able to chew the food properly. Should be able to blow, right? Now, blowing के लिए bubbling, kids love to, they give you a joint attention while they're playing with the bubbles, right? So bubbles के साथ खेलना, उनको बोलना एक बार आप blow करो, एक बार the child do, right? And I've seen how Ranak started speaking. Children sometimes learn in a very sing-song manner. उनके लिए गाना ज़्यादा easy होता है rather than, sound production कभी-कभी. So how Ranak started off? Ranak started off on a very beautiful day when it's a best day of my life. When we started, it was the first day of our speech therapy because all these prerequisites were already there. Ranak started having a good receptive language. If I say water or if I say touch the glass of water, he would do it. Or if I say where is the apple, if I'm showing a picture, he's able to point to the correct thing. So that way we come to know they already have a receptive language, right? So if we ask them, what is this? No, we say, where is apple? So he touches either the 3D or the picture. That means the child has started having understanding of the receptive language has started emerging, right? So he or she has started understanding what is the language. So he was 3/4 or 4 years old when we had worked with him for quite pretty good time. He also had chewing issues. Those things were also resolved. He had moved further, and now I went to a speech therapist. Okay, the speech was not coming. So what she did was what I understood from her was that yes, our children are so very connected to music. They love rhymes, and that is the way we can. If we are teaching a word, also if we do sing song, it just attracts their attention. This is what was my experience, that sing song was a very good thing for Ranak. So we went to this speech therapist, and she was just doing rhymes with him, trying to pair up with Ranak, to become friends with him, because this was a strange place. Ranak was feeling very restless, and he was not even 4, I'm talking of, right? Then she just started singing a rhyme, and she started with his favorite somehow. So these are the favorite rhymes, and she started with Old MacDonald. Okay, so Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E, and she kept quiet, and she made us hand like this to me, stop, you don't say anything. And we waited for Ranak, and a very sweet voice came out. Oh, and she did it at least 10 times, and 10 times he responded, right? So all we need to do is the sing-song way, the fun way, and give a pause. Sometimes when the child needs something, you know what it is. Just wait. The child might label it because you've been already giving the words 3 times. One, he wants bubbles, just wait, right? Now I'm blowing bubbles for my child. I even allow a child to blow the bubble with me, and then we are playing, and I stop. Maybe he gives me a eye contact for a brief second. That's also a victory. And I pretend I don't understand. And maybe the word will come bubble, or it will come bubble. Something will come out. Yeah. So sometimes while we are teaching, we need to take a pause. And once we take a pause, the child fills in. And it can be, and E-I-E-O was a fantastic one because there's only one sound, and that was O. And it came out. And even the therapist was so surprised. And she told me that maybe it happened today. Maybe in the next class it will not happen. But believe you me, it never stopped after that. He just picked up, he was not able to complete the whole word. For push, he would say poo, and but ABCD he picked up. And there were a lot of, you get those apps, and we were doing till such time he did not get the speech, right? So it's not only about pronouncing the words, it should be meaningful, and sometimes there is a stage where the child starts the speech with without understanding of the word, and they are just repeating what we are speaking, right? So it is called echolalia. Sometimes the child does not know the meaning of the word, but they are just repeating. So that's when expressive speech languages come, but the receptive is still missing. Receptive is like, if I give the instruction, the child doesn't know, it just repeats the instruction and does not follow through, right? That is when we need to work on the receptive skills of the child, right? So this is basically about the speech, how to go about. Do I just rush to the speech therapist? Yes, you can do that, no problem. But the speech therapist will also the work of a speech therapist is to get the speech out, to get the sound out, right? If the prerequisites are not there, then the speech therapist will also work on those prerequisites, which I just spoke about, like, non-verbal communication, like gestures, pointing, and this is a non-verbal gestural communication. Then also working on the imitation, sitting skills, behavior coming down. So it's always nice to work on these prerequisites and then go to a therapist who would work around to get the speech out, right? And if the child is having a feeding issue, then we need to look at, going to a therapist who is certified or expert in feeding therapy, because that also helps in, stimulating the jawline, right? That also I had done along for Ranak, because we were almost turning 4 and we were not having speech. We had problem in chewing, biting, though he started chewing, but he would just fill up his mouth and keep the food there. ठीक है, मुंह भर के रख लेगा and he will not eat. So that was a feeding problem. अब इसी मुंह से हमने बात करनी है, इसी मुंह से हम खाते हैं, इसी मुंह से हम ब्लो करते हैं, और ब्लोइंग तो स्पीच का ही पार्ट होता है, राइट? सो जैसे विसल ब्लो करना या स्ट्रॉ से सक कर पाना और स्ट्रॉ से ब्लो करके पानी में बबल्स क्रिएट करना. These are small exercises which any of us as parents can do at home. Straw से suck करना सिखाना. वो sucking जो होती है, that builds the muscle of the tongue, है ना? And gargle ना कर पाना. Our kids are not able to gargle, then they are not able to spit. So not only that we work on the imitation and language, we also see that whether, they are feeling their tongue and the jaw, and that we come to know how they are feeding. Feeding में सिर्फ चबाना ही नहीं होता. Feeding में हम straw से जूस पीते हैं, वो जूस पी पा रहा है straw से, और straw से हम blow कर पा रहे हैं, या bubbles के लिए blow कर पा रहा है कि नहीं कर पा रहा है, right? So जितना आप ये एक stimulation होता है for the jawline, this. And this speech therapist or an occupational therapist might be or would be trained for the feeding therapy. If they are, then they will be able to help you. There are certain talk tools which are used. Even I had got those talk tools for Ranak, and it really worked well with. अब speech आ गई तो उस पे words connect भी करने आने चाहिए. पहले एक वर्ड से स्टार्ट किया उसने, एक भी नहीं आधे वर्ड से स्टार्ट किया था रनक ने. पुश का वो पू बोलता था, धीरे धीरे पुश आया, ठीक है. पापा को पापा पापा पाप बोलता है, विच इज ऑल्सो कॉल्ड, वो भी मोटर प्लानिंग होती है, राइट? नाउ स्पीच ऑल्सो रिक्वायर्स मोटर प्लानिंग. कहाँ पे मुझे पॉज देना है, कहाँ पे किस वर्ड आर्टिकुलेशन इश्यूज होते हैं, जहां पे क ख ग नहीं बोल पा रहा था. सो ऑल दीज थिंग्स आर हेल्प्ड व्हेन the feeding becomes better, right? अब जितनी अच्छी फीडिंग भी होती जाएगी, जिसमें ब्लोइंग, सकिंग, ये सब इसको स्ट्रेंथन करने के लिए है, राइट? वी आर स्ट्रेंथनिंग देयर थिंग. वी आर ऑल्सो गिविंग देम मसाजेस, ओरल मोटर मसाजेस, राइट? इसमें सिर्फ स्पीच थेरेपी का ही रोल नहीं होता, इसमें रोल होता है ऑक्यूपेशनल थेरेपी का भी, राइट? क्योंकि यहां पे भी ओरल मोटर प्लानिंग है और पूरा ग्रॉस मोटर, फाइन मोटर भी प्लानिंग होती है, राइट? सो एक पार्ट ऑफ द ब्रेन है विच नीड्स टू बी स्टिम्युलेटेड, राइट? अब ग्रॉस मोटर प्लानिंग के लिए क्या करना होता है? Like if you go to an occupational therapist, they will make the child, walk through lot of obstacles. They can pile up एक ball डाल देंगे, like a gym ball, and there'll be like some loops. He has to walk within the loops. Then he has to cross inside the chair, come out. These are all motor planning skills. How to cross those hurdles, right? Those hurdles. तो जैसे ग्रॉस मोटर है तो वो ब्रेन को हम स्टिमुलेट कर रहे हैं for the planning, right? Now this planning will go and help with the speech production planning, right? So सब कुछ connected है, you understand? Like जो speech है उसके लिए बहुत सारा कुछ काम करके फिर हम speech के ऊपर आते हैं. So like when I started with Ranak, I did not rush to the speech therapist. Mine to go was occupational therapy, sensory integration, calm down his senses, ठीक है? Make him understand the language, okay? Receptive उसकी अच्छी हो गई, imitation skills develop होने लग गई, instruction follow up होने लगा, right? And that's how we know the receptive became better. Then came the time when I went to the speech therapist. And while I was doing all these therapies and all those things, I was supporting Ranak from inside. Okay. That's the very big part of the puzzle. ठीक है? अब बहुत सारे लोग हैं स्ट्रगल करते रह जाते हैं. Lot of children on the spectrum, they do not, they are non-verbal. Okay. And looking at what my son was at that point in time, उसका oral motor जो था वो इतना weak था कि उसको ना blowing थी ना sucking थी, tongue was hanging out. Okay, tongue was like this रहता था, उसका मुंह खुला रहता था, tongue बाहर it was hanging out. And so I feel that a lot of therapists thought that maybe he might go non-verbal, right? But because I was supporting from behind. And what was that support that I was doing? I was bringing down his internal inflammation. I was working on bringing down I was trying to heal his gut, because we didn't only have the feeding issue. And this feeding issue was not there from 1.5 years. This feeding issue was from the day he was born. He was not able to latch to mother for the mother's milk. I had to struggle, and only after 40 days, we were able to have a success there. So from the day one, I knew there was an issue, or I thought maybe I'm not properly parenting my child. And that's how we all feel, right? But he was having issue from the day one he was born. And looking at that condition, looking at his oral motor, his full body motor planning was poor. He was pretty clumsy. He would fall down, right? From there, so if you work in a proper sequence, you attain that, and then the speech will come, right? And all this requires pretty hard work, right? So we also do it. We take experts' guidance also. And we ourselves as parents become empowered enough, right, to start healing from within. Okay? How to reach the brain? How do I reach the brain and heal the brain? Is there a way to reach the brain? It is the gut. Okay? I think 95% of the children on the spectrum are having gut issues. Okay? All mental health is connected to gut. Gut is our second brain. And once we start supporting the child from all the angles, we bought sensory integration, we bought occupational therapy integration. Okay? occupational therapist will help in the motor planning, all the milestones that went missing in case of Ranak. We got crawling. We didn't have crawling, so crawling came. Then he was not able to get up from the floor. It happened within the first 3 months of the therapies that we started. And alongside, I had already put him on diet. I had removed all the harmful, harmful food without much knowledge why I'm removing it. Though I was told, and I was like pretty open to whatever is told to me. I want to try it on my child, and I could see, progress happening at a fast pace, right? And because I did not have a complete proper foundation, why we are doing diet, why we are removing certain things, I got into the fact that, okay, I want to go back to that diet. And then I slowed down the progress, right? So, we need to support our child from all the angles, right? But we need to know the angles. What are the angles? What are the things? What are the, जो होते ना बारीकियां, जो हमें लगता है स्पीच नहीं आ रही, स्पीच के लिए भागना है, लेट हो गया स्पीच. बट अंडरस्टैंड करो कि जब हम उनसे बात कर रहे हैं, क्या उनको समझ में आ रहा है? क्या हम उनको बोल रहे हैं बेटा इधर आओ, आ रहे हैं? क्या हम आवाज दे रहे हैं तो वो अपने नाम पे रिस्पॉन्ड कर रहे हैं, राइट? वो भी हमें सिखाना है, राइट? कि नेम पे रिस्पॉन्ड करना है. Ranak would not look back. We will call Ranak 6 times. It's as if he cannot hear anything. And there is a time now, you call Ranak and he says, yes, mama. We have taught it. So if he is not learning on their own, then we teach them everything. And the good news is, our children are teachable. This is a good news. Only the thing is, what we assume that they will learn from the environment, we need to step in. That's what it is called intervention. This is the meaning of intervention. कि वो जो उनका एक, हमारा जो कोई भी रेगुलर बच्चा पैदा होता है, वो बहुत कुछ अपने एनवायरमेंट से, अपने लोगों को, आसपास के लोगों को देख के सीख रहा है. हमारा बच्चा नहीं सीख रहा है. वो नहीं सीख रहा, तो we step in and we start teaching them. We start spending time, we teach them, and then we intervene in their learning. This is what is called early intervention. जितनी जल्दी पता चला, जिस दिन पता चला, काम करना शुरू, राइट? समझ पहले तो समझना ही पड़ता है कि what it exactly is autism, ठीक है? So then you start working, and when you start working on your child, that's what is called early intervention, right? जिस दिन जाग खुल जाए, उस दिन सवेरा, and उसको बोलना कि अब तक बच्चे ने नहीं बोला तो वो नहीं बोलेगा कभी नहीं, ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है. I have seen children who start speaking at the age of 12, 18, and I was seeing a reel where they are celebrating a girl on the spectrum start speaking at the age of 27. So why I'm saying all this? I'm saying this, there is a hope, right? When we have hope, when there is a belief that the child has the ability to speak, but उसके pre-requisites नहीं हुए हैं fulfill. जब वो हो जाएंगे और हम consistently लगे हुए हैं, चाहे आप एक ही वर्ड को ले लीजिए, वो रोज बार बार रिपीट कर रहे हैं, रोज जो उसकी इंटरेस्ट का है, slowly some kind of input you will start getting. चाहे वो blurred है, चाहे वो clear नहीं है, तो उसकी आर्टिकुलेशन पे काम करेंगे, उसको यहाँ पे मसाजेस देंगे, उसको ब्लो करवाएंगे, उसको विसल्स देंगे ब्लो करने के लिए, राइट? उसको स्ट्रॉस देंगे जो थोड़ी थिक होती हैं, और जो स्मूदी बना के देंगे जो थिक है. अब वो लगाएगा जोर और मसल्स ये वाले स्ट्रॉन्ग करेंगे, ताकि उसको भी फील, एक इनपुट आएगा ना कि ये स्ट्रॉन्ग हो रहा है, राइट? सो दिस इज व्हाट you can do about speech with your child. And it is very important to keep talking to them. Talk to them as if they are understanding everything. Okay? And talk to them with so much of love, and make them feel that they are truly lovely, kindest, purest people, and you'll start getting the response. I'm sure. वैसे भी जैसे हमारी इंटेंशन होती है, जब हमारा लव होता है, That love creates a vibration, right? Which we cannot see, which we can feel, right? Even our children are so sensitive, they feel it. Believe you me, they feel it. Okay. So that's all from me today. I hope some clarity I could able to bring to the parents. What are the prerequisites for speech? What should you look at when you are working to get that one beautiful word from your child, which might be just saying mama or mama, I love you. So work on those prerequisites consistently till the time you don't hear that lovely word, mama, I love you, or I love you, or mama, or papa. Yeah, that's what we are. And while talking, I'm not saying I'm only talking about children who are toddlers or children who are just 6 7. I'm even talking anytime it is it can be possible. And that's the beauty of autism, that we can turn it around. So we can do a little tuning. They are teachables. Only we need to find out a way to reach them, to reach, keep trying different strategies, different ways of maybe teaching only one word, just one word, mama, right? And work on their oral motor, it will come. Yeah. So I with that I just bring come to an end, and I'll conclude my session. Also, before I go today, I do want to remind the parents that I worked with Ranak when it comes to diet, detox, nutrition. That also goes a long way in getting speech for our children. Okay, so there are certain vitamins which are needed, which might be deficient in our children. Why this goes deficient, why there is a problem with the gut, all that I discuss. You can join my free masterclass on Friday evenings. I start my session at 5. And also, you can join my 14-day program, where I take you on the journey, which is about the transition. It's about, cleaning their environment, creating an environment where, their bodies start thriving, and the physical part thrives along with the mental part. So we start from the gut, and that goes up to the brain, and it works on everything. It works on speech, it works on their immunity, it works on their focus, their mood, their sleep, their feeding. Everything is taken care of by when we start healing from within. While the stimulation from outside is necessary, the inner part which goes missing, that becomes a roadblock, and that's why we keep struggling. And it's like we're hitting the wall and we are not getting progress. We get stuck at one level and then we don't move forward. It's because there is very, very serious thing happening within, which we are not addressing, because there is no physical symptoms, very apparent symptoms. Sometimes it is, sometimes there are no. So that's what I do. Basically, I'm also a mother to a 16-year-old child. I spoke a lot about Ranak today, and how we brought about changes in him. We see improvement till date, and I don't, link age with the improvement. Brain is neuroplastic. From the time we are born to the time we die, the brain remains neuroplastic. It has the ability to learn. It has the ability to keep on making new neural paths. That's a good hope. That's a hope for us. The brain for autistic children is not dead. There is no permanent damage, right? It's only the development got paused, delayed, or maybe slowed down. Okay. Once we remove those triggers which have paused the development, it starts getting developed again, right? So, but only what is required is the empowerment, learning, empower yourself, learn, and never give up on your child. your child will surprise you unexpectedly someday. And I get that unexpected surprises mostly every day. Yeah. And that's what I want all my fellow parents to also get. And hence, I've started taking out time to talk to all the warrior parents here, for all the beautiful souls whom God has gifted us, right? चलिए आज के लिए इतना ही. कल फिर मिलेंगे with a new topic, you know, a success where I would have seen success. I'll come up with that topic. Yeah. Okay then. Bye bye.